The stream. Good morning to you, Denver. Good morning, world. Wherever you're at, hope you're having a good day. It's Paul Chavez, Mr. International, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be in radio if it wasn't for this man sitting here to my right. I call him my radio father. I'm talking about Ed Romero. Ed Romero in the Denver area, known for many, many years for everything that he's done, including bringing bilingual radio to the Mile High City and the Land Connection, and I can just go on and go on. Former owner and general manager of KBNO Radio, 1220 AM. It is my pleasure to have you here with me, Mr. Romero. How you doing?
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on with you. You talk about a transition from KBNO to you, and you being on the air full time, and you're still here.
It's
Taking away.
taken away,
Yeah.
exactly. Of course, now we've got television. Say hi to all your,
Yes,
your girlfriends out there.
it's, I got a haircut this morning,
Yeah,
and I tried to dress nice.
good. You did. You did. You look good. You're always suave and debonair. You know, I heard the news yesterday, and it really um, made me feel sad because I mean here we're talking about Frank Ponce. Frank Ponce to me was the epitome of a radio broadcaster. He reminds me of the Walter Cronkite of AM Spanish radio. You know,
Yeah, and he started with Paco way back, way before I even got involved.
really.
He used to have a program with Paco Sanchez, and just recently, uh, there was a program that honored Paco, and Frank played a very prominent role in giving an overview of who Paco Sanchez was. So now we have an equal opportunity to talk about who Frank is and what he did in his community and his family. So it's sort of a rare opportunity for me to be involved from one transition to another, from KBNO to you.
Yes. So now let's talk about Paco Sanchez. To me, in the Bible, it reads that a just man, and to me, that's what he was. Because he was a very quiet man, but when he turned on that microphone, oh my goodness! Even if you did not understand Spanish, you would just stay locked into him. He was from what I remember, and I was pretty young then. I mean, I guess we all were, but what I remember is he would go into certain Latin American countries, would describe everything about the country, would describe the food, and then play the music. He would take you to that country, theater of the mind is what it was, and he was amazing at it.
It's sort of funny that you bring that up because I was talking to Frank one day, and he told me a story about how he got to Denver, and he had been accepted on a full scholarship to the Colorado School of Mines to be an engineer,
Wow.
which that was sort of strange because I wouldn't not place Frank as an engineer.
Right.
But what also was amazing was that to get into the Colorado School of Mines, you got to be pretty, pretty smart.
Pretty
And,
sharp, yeah.
So I think Frank had that high level of intelligence and then transferred that over and how he got into business.
Right, right. And KBNO at the time was, one of the only Spanish radio stations in the Mile High City, and people had no other channels. They didn't have internet. They didn't have nothing like that. And Frank Ponce's numbers were amazing at that particular hour because not only the South American community would tune in, but you would have people that, I could never afford to take a trip to certain countries that he would describe and the food and the music. And it was not only, and I think he got involved with the public schools, if I'm not mistaken, because he was educating a lot of people through his show.
Well, you know, at one point in time, KBN came out with a program called Los Cuentos,
Mm-hmm.
programs for kids.
Yes, yes.
And, you know, so Frank and Roberto Cardenas at the time were the designers of those programs
Okay.
and for kids. And it was very innovative at the time, Los Cuentecitos.
Yes, yes.
Like about 40 of those programs that we ran in the public schools.
Yes, I remember
So,
that.
you know,
I knew Frank was involved in that somehow. Now, we are talking once again, folks. Welcome those of you just tuned in to KUHS, the stream to my right, my radio father. And the reason I say that, Edward Meadow, is this man actually discovered me at a nightclub, and the rest is, 47 years later, is history. But I commend you and I thank you for believing in me, and here I still am. We're remembering the life and times of DJ and business partner and community leader in Frank Ponce. Tell me about his family.
Well, you know, Frank has a wonderful family. He's got a son and three daughters. Albert, of course, his wife, Teresa. And then daughter number one was, when I say number one,
Of the three, yes.
Teresita, and then Gucci, and then Carmen. And I remember time, Paul, we had a anniversary party,
Right,
and Frank came with the whole family,
right.
and my son, who was 8 and 9, we put him into a white tuxedo,
Oh,
and he became the master of ceremonies.
nice.
So when it came to talking about Frank, my son introduced him as the engineer, and Teresa as the developer, and then he talked about the three beautiful daughters that Frank had,
Yes.
and they were absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
There was a lot of fun to talk about his family, and to this day, I have the fortune again to meet with Teresa and Lucy, and I see Carmen frequently because she works at the furniture store, but Lucy lives in Texas, and she says y'all all the time.
Y'all.
And then Teresita lives in Chicago, very successful, has 4 boys.
Wow.
Sort of amazing. Lucy has 2 beautiful daughters. Carmen has a daughter. So the family continues to grow and build. But for me to see him again after all these years, it's sort of wonderful.
Yes,
It
yeah.
brought back a lot of memories.
Now, Ponce Furniture, which has been a success for, since the 70s, I would say, over on Larmer Street, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sorry.
Ponce Furniture.
Oh, yes.
On Larmer Street.
I mean, it's like an icon kind of furniture company, you know. He's been around a long time. So I would go in there and I'd say, Frank, I need some furniture. He says, okay, Ed, I'm going to make you a good deal. I said, great.
Yeah, the deals we need, yes, definitely.
You know, we had this friendship that went beyond the radio station. For example, Tom Rodriguez and Frank and I, we all had 1974 Cadillac Sevilles. And so one time we all got in the car with our wives and we went to Santa Fe and we were going to go to the opera.
Wow.
And so we get to the opera and we're there, and midway, all of them get up and leave except for me and my wife. And I said, you guys have no culture. I don't think they enjoyed opera very much.
They did like culture.
But we used to have so much fun. We'd take trips. We'd go to Mexico frequently. We did so many wonderful things, and Frank was always that sophisticated.
Yeah. The debonair, Mr. Very, very sophisticated.
So some really fun times.
And I would see him for just that 1 hour, and I would listen to his show because I was so intrigued about radio, and I could not believe how he would capture that audience, and literally theater of the mind, because he took you places that, like Robin Lee, showing you places you'll never go, meeting people you'll never meet,
Yeah.
But with him and narrating was amazing. I learned a lot from him, articulation wise. He obviously, Juanito coming from New Mexico, not knowing my Spanish like I knew, I had to learn it, and he was very instrumental in helping me get some of that language right, because he'd say, "Oh, I was listening to the Latin connection. You need to know this word right," But he was great about it. He didn't. He was just correcting me, and I was good about that. It was good that he was even listening to our show. It was interesting.
Well, his life extended from the radio station and business. He was a community leader. He assisted us when we started the very first Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. He was there as we formed that, and that was sort of a rarity in Denver to have a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
We started that, and then, of course, he was involved in business, involved in social life. The concerts, we did concerts. I remember we had a concert that we brought in Julio Iglesias
Whoa.
to Red Rocks.
Wow.
And so, I mean.
Do you remember the year on that one?
Pardon?
What year was that?
Oh, don't ask me questions about age. I don't remember anything. But there was about 18,000 people up there, and what we did is we had a contest, and we had a double-decker English bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we had a contest on the air for 50 couples to go up there. It was such a wonderful night with Julio. But during the show, they had that song to all the girls we loved before.
Right.
And who's that country western singer?
Willie Nelson.
And Willie Nelson came on the stage. We sang it together.
Wow.
Frank used, I don't know, his influence, but then there was a reception afterwards downstairs from at the rock.
Right.
Rocks.
Right.
And so we went down there and we met Julio, such a gentleman. He was a very, very just down to earth kind of guy. So, if you look at the whole breadth of 11 years that I was there, the friendships that we had, and that extended way beyond that. Those friendships never went away.
Right.
And I just thought it was a wonderful relationship with Frank and Teresa.
And Frank, of course, leaves a beautiful family, a legacy, and I would have loved to have gotten a hold of some of the audio that he had. I know every show he put it on reel to reel. Of course now it's all digital, but it's easily transferable, and hopefully I can get a hold of the family. I'm sure they have some of the archives. But you talked about the fact that he's not only in the world of radio when he did his show, and you wouldn't miss it 1 hour a day, but he was a quiet community leader.
Oh yeah, to say the least, and that was the beauty of the impact. For example, when he talked about Paco, he talked about how immigrants have impacted this country. And he was an immigrant.
Right.
And he came here not to take, but to give.
Right.
And he did. And he became a business icon in a sense. It was extremely successful. And they talk about the immigrants and talk about, I don't want to get into politics, but
right.
This is
well, this is it, internet radio. You can say whatever you want. You're fine. Go ahead and talk about it.
We have a racist president. That's all I've got to say. And it does not welcome immigrants, and had it not been for people like Frank and so many millions who have come here to make this country what it is.
Right.
Immigrants from all over the world.
Right.
And Frank talked about that when he talked about Paco, is that immigrants come here and they contribute and they build businesses and they build the infrastructure of this country. And he made those points very vividly when he talked about Paco. But he was talking about himself also.
Absolutely.
So
in a quiet way.
Yeah. And there are huge Latino South American immigrants here in Denver.
Absolutely.
So it's a wonderful. I remember the Cuban club and South American club and all the clubs that we used to have. It was sort of gone away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But he was very much in front of all of those.
And he was a true lover of soccer, definitely. Luis Romero, who good friend with us, and he posted a post on Facebook how touched he was about the passing of Fred Ponce. But he was a lover of soccer, definitely.
Yeah.
Love soccer.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say about South America? The three most important things are soccer, soccer, and soccer. Right? I mean, there are no other things.
That's true.
So, And it's sort of amazing because when we talk about football, we talk about American football,
Right, right.
right? So it's
Any uh, any other touching stories that you may want to share with us? Um,
well, the thing about it that we always used to talk about is how we could put the concerts together because it's a very small station. I mean, literally,
yes,
it was 1,000-watt radio station,
right,
and we brought in all the major stars.
right.
And I remember the first time that we brought Cheyenne. We were almost one of the first places that we went to, and a talented young man. And I remember we took him to breakfast, and he had about 20 eggs and 20 pounds of potatoes,
Oh my
10
God.
pounds of bacon. The guy couldn't eat enough,
Right.
And then we brought in, gosh, my memory, the Puerto Rican guy,
What's
the
that?
Tito Puente.
Tito
We
Puente.
brought him and took him out to the gardens out there on Oak Street. Well, anyway, he gave a big concert out there.
Right.
It was wonderful. And so they asked Frank to go pick him up at the airport, and Frank couldn't do it, so they sent me. So I'm going out there and I'm talking to people from there, and I'm talking to him in Spanish.
Right.
And so I took him down to the hotel, and he gets out of the car and he says, "Pues bienvenido otra vez, señor Puente." And he says, "Oh, thanks, Ed." I thought he didn't speak English. All this time I'm trying to talk to him in Spanish, and he's listening,
Yeah.
politely, but then he said, "Okay, Ed, we'll see you tonight."
Right.
But we put the concerts on, so many of them.
Yes.
We brought in everybody, and it was a wonderful, I think, thing to do for our community. Because we used to have dances at the football.
Yeah, I mean that was unheard of. I mean because and let's face it, racism was across the board at that time.
Oh,
even we had to deal with that as well. I mean, you talk about what's going on now. No, we can't have you do those shows here. You're going to mess up our place, right?
Yes, I remember one time we had a major function on Larimer Square. I mean, there were thousands of people. It was an amazing thing to do. And when we would plan those things, it would be George at the time, George Fernandez, and Paco, myself, and other parts of the staff. And we had your show,
right?
And we would bring thousands of people. And so, what we did in those days was sort of unique.
And you know what I call them, man? They were groundbreaking.
Yes.
They were groundbreaking because it opened the door for these other Chicano or Hispanic or Latino Mexicano promoters. And that's what you guys were doing. You were paving the way for other promoters to come in, including our Chuleta Promotions, who is here with us in the way of Henry.
Yeah, we used to have the dancers out there at Adams County
right?
Fairgrounds.
Right.
And that is on Frank know how to cut it up.
Do they really?
Yeah. I tried.
No, they were that sophisticated, debonair, and classy. That's what I mean. To me, he always really did class. Always dressed up to the T, and it didn't matter what he was doing. He focused. He was so on it, and I wouldn't go in the studio, but I would just peek in there and watch him. And at the time, I was doing traffic for we had to do multi duties to keep the station going, and it was great because I learned all this stuff. But just watching him in action was it was very appreciative, and I think it kind of grew in me. Obviously, I didn't learn the Spanish language, and he had it down. He had it down.
Yeah, it's almost like 30 or 35 years in this country. Yeah. 35, 40 years ago. Again, I lose track of time.
Right.
Now, I turned 59 in January.
You did?
Many times. and I sort of lose track of time, but Frank has been on and again before that on Pop Essentials. So many years, and it was just a constant delivery
yes.
of music for our community.
Right.
I mean, there's this growth of our Spanish radio and gender knowledge. It's a wonderful progression. You have to have progression. But he was one of the people who led the effort on Spanish radio from the very beginning.
Wow.
So, you know, Paul, I knew Frank really well, and the thing that I can say about him is that he didn't have an ego. He talked about people, and he talked about ideas, and he talked about positive things, and he wasn't out there banging on doors or anything. Like, he was just this kind of a guy who was a contributor to our community. And if I ever say anything about Frank, it would be that he's just one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
Despite all the things that he's done, just a basic, truly nice guy.
Yes.
I mean, just that kind of thing.
Yeah, I couldn't remember ever him being bad or saying bad things. He just was always positive and that smile on his face.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I would run into him at different functions, and again, he wasn't rushing out in front. He was just there.
Right.
And often, we've had sort of passing of many of our community, and Frank is always, Frank and Dennis have always been so respectful of different things that affect the community in all kinds of ways. So you can't get better than that from a couple and his family. Wonderful, wonderful family.
Well, this is truly bittersweet for me. Sweet the fact that my radio father is here with me, and it's just a moment of sadness and at the same time a moment of celebration for Frank Ponce, who was very influential in our community as he was one of those, bulldozers in the quiet way to make room for other promoters and radio jocks and helping keep a Spanish radio station in the Denver area going as it was the only game in town. And it's a good feeling to know that we knew and we were a part of a pioneer's life.
If I can make another final comment, Paul, with this coronavirus that's going on, it's so unfortunate that we can't all attend a funeral mass and praying.
It really is.
And be able to share from a community standpoint with us and the kids.
Yes.
How great Frank was, and to be there to be with the family during this time. We can't do that.
No.
You can't have a wedding, you can't have a funeral, you can't have anything.
Well.
But I'm sure the family knows that the community is thinking about them at this time.
Definitely. I mean, Freddie Rodriguez Sr., we couldn't do anything for him.
Yeah,
we just lost him. And that was due to coronavirus. And, it's just the time and, space and time that we're at right now. I personally want to just give my condolences to the entire family, to just a man. Look that up in the Bible. I think you understand what I'm talking about. To the whole family. I knew the girls very well. We hung out. We had good times when we were younger. And I always respected that concept. Querido Frank Ponce, la música que compartió con nosotros, el modo que me enseñó, me dio ideas de cómo hablar mi idioma en español. Gracias, me doy señor Frank Ponce. De parte de todos aquí en KUHS, muchas gracias. And Ed Romero, hey, the doors are open for you anytime, my friend.
Oh, you never forget me, and I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you so much
for
this opportunity, because, for you to do this for the family on KUHS is a wonderful tribute, and congratulations to the station. Thank you so much for thinking of Frank, and thank you for inviting me to be a part of this. I am so appreciative. Thank you.
I've got to get you back in here soon. We got to take that musical roller coaster ride. Talk about those days when we
had fun. Your show with
Dave Gallegos.
Yeah, those are days.
Those were some good days, and it's funny because you went against the grain. You battled against.
I got in trouble too.
And I thank you for that, because we were getting some numbers where we were even making some noise against Y108 at the time. It was crazy. That's for another show. Thank you once again, Len Romero, and former owner, and general manager of KDNO in Denver, 1220 at the time, and a good friend of mine, and forever will be. As I said, he is my very good father. Para la familia Ponce, que Dios le da paz a toda la familia y estaremos sentimientos, muchos sentimientos en nuestro corazón para toda la familia. That's going to do it for us. Ed Romero once again on KUHS. We'll bring him in at another time. We're live Facebook, Twitter, and I don't know how many other platforms. And this is the world of radio and television these days. You are listening to KUHS, The Stream. Ciao, everybody.